The question is should Alec Baldwin be charged with the criminal act of murder or whatever for the death that happened on the movie set? A lot of people just think right away that it should be just cut and dry. He had the gun in his hand, he pulled the trigger, and someone died. But I think it needs to be dissected a little bit more to understand why that there was a crime and if there really was one. In order to do that, we have to kind of take ourselves and put ourselves in a different perspective, because movies is kind of hard to understand. It's, it seems like a social environment and things like that, and it's not as cut and dry as it is if we took the same situation and we put it into contracting, which is what I do. Let's say, for instance, I bid a job and I bid it too low. I bid it very low. I'm trying to do it on a low budget, and I hired a person to inspect all of my equipment to make sure it was safe. And the person I hired to do that was substandard. They didn't have any expertise in that field, and that's the person I hired because I was being cheap. So I had them inspect my ladders, and they said, hey, those ladders are good. I sent a guy up on the ladder, and the ladder was cracked and it failed. And the person on the ladder fell and resulted in their death. The question is, who would be liable? Anybody would know the answer to that, right? It would be the contractor. So if the contractor did something that was unsafe and hired people to do that, then that's their fault. So now in the Alec Baldwin case, it's a little more complicated because there's more people involved. I don't know exactly who is financing the movie. And from what I understand, and maybe I'm wrong, is that he had a big part in the budgeting of the movie. Now, whether or not he was the person who actually pulled the trigger or it was someone else, when in fact it was him that pulled the trigger, it doesn't really make any difference. This person who was responsible for budgeting the job should be criminally charged. Now, that's just my opinion. I don't know what the law is, but it should be that way. Now, back to the same situation in contracting. Let's just say that the person came to me and said that, hey, I'm a qualified person to do this job. And they said, okay, and they said to me, well, I've only done this a couple times, but I think I can do it. And I hired them anyway. Still my problem, but also they could have refused the job. So the person who took that job could have refused to do the job because they said they had no experience and they didn't have enough experience and they didn't want to be responsible for somebody dying on the job. Now, isn't that accessory? So, in my opinion, the woman who took the job of being the armory person didn't have the quite experience that she was supposed to have, and she took the job anyway. She should have refused the job because she had an opportunity to do so. She could have said yes or no, and she took the job. So since she took the job and did the job, I think she should be criminally responsible as an accessory. There's a lot of controversy on this. There's a lot of lawsuits going on with Alec Baldwin and I don't know, some other media or something like that. I'd like to see what your opinion is this. I really, that's my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you legally why and all that other stuff. But if you're a lawyer, maybe you could comment that below. Also, if you're just an interest in the case, maybe you could comment below and just tell us what you think. A lot of people are going to say, hey, just because he shot her, he had the gun in his hand, he should be responsible for her death 100%. But there's a lot of things involved with that. There was a person who was supposed to check the weapon to make sure that it was clear and safe before he got it. And in my opinion, anybody, if I pick up a gun, and I'm going to check it myself and make sure it's safe. But when it comes down to things like, bullets that are blanks or fake bullets and things like that, I'm not an expert in that field, so I don't know how to check a bullet. But I guarantee you, before I picked up a gun, whether it was on a movie set or at home or hunting or anything else, I would find out about what it is, what a blank is, and how to tell the difference. Before, it's simple. You can just Google it now. There's no reason not to know, and you can find out what the difference is. Maybe shake the bullet or whatever, take them out, shake them yourself, make sure that it's safe before you actually point it at someone. there's a lot of interesting things on this. I'd love to see what your comments are. Let's kind of get a little discussion going, and maybe we can, encourage some of the lawmakers and the people in the state of, New Mexico, to make the right decision. So anyway, I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.